Well, hello, good morning, and it's your old mate Dave Spencer, off on one of our transport adventures. This time we're in Llandudno, down in North Wales, when the whole of the transport community ups roots and heads off to the seaside for the weekend. And the Vehicle Restoration Trust is running much of the bus service, linking the Transport Festival with the Victorian Extravaganza Festival down in the town. And what are we going to see today? Well, we're going to see all sorts, aren't we? But we'll see what we see. Well, it's a long and winding road. We've had some pretty awful weather this year so far, and it was touch and go, I think, with the ground conditions. But so far we haven't had anything cancelled on us because of the weather, although there are quite a few events that have been cancelled due to lack of entrance and support. I think the latest one to throw the towel in was Fleetwood Tram Sunday, although I hadn't been to that for years. And as I mentioned on my introductory chat, the North West Vehicle Restoration Trust, the NWVRT, are partaking in the service provision for the bus services to and from the town. And I've seen they've already got buses down there now. I think the Merseyside Titan's down there. So what we do, for those that don't know, we make our way around the lineups of the trucks and lorries, and then we go up and do the modern ones, and after that we do the vans. Then we're going down to cover the bus service, and then hopefully it'll be about tea time and I'll head home. Well, it's always a superb show, and I've had the pleasure of chatting to the family quite a few times and getting them copies of all the shows that I've attended. We used to have a stand here, but really a bit too much general public than transport enthusiasts. Another reason we don't like to stay too late is we've got to get up early tomorrow and get over to the Lincolnshire showground for Truck Fest. Fitting in the two events in the bank holiday weekend has been my tradition. I didn't do Truck Fest last year. I think it was the first year at the new venue, having left the Peterborough showground. The other day I was driving down the motorways, and I think I passed in one day 4 vintage wagons. I think there was a couple of ERFs, Foden, and an old Scania as well. Of course, you always see those when you're driving, you can't sort of get a shot. I think it's a bit of a case of picking yourself through the mud at the moment. Well, stickiness. It's not really full grown mud, but I'm sure before the day's out we'll find some. Oh, this has been a bit of a few shows now. I've certainly been at Gaydon. Gaydon will be up at this year, and perhaps I'll actually get to stay to the bus event there, which is sort of Withall at Gaydon. Now this latter-day Leyland Comet is presented in a bit more like sort of everyday working condition. It's clean, it's tidy, but it's not overdone, and looks all the better for it, because you could take that out now and we would swoon at the sight of that come rumbling along down past our house. Well, perhaps not past our house. Don't think it'll get round our little road, but you know what I mean. Dove up in Derbyshire is a favourite spot for me, and that usually produces the odd Foden at least. And like the Scottish soldier, of which there was none more bold, these travelled far and wide, and took the badge with them. There's still got a bit of badge engineering goes on with motor cars, but I really don't have an awful lot of knowledge about cars in sort of post-70s at least. Isn't that a wonderful sight? We've got nobody wandering around, no ice creams, no dogs being walked yet, and a lovely Volvo. Two vehicles in a row done up. No, 3 in a row, isn't it? 3 in a row done up for Derbyshire operators. And we continue that trend on the Dodge, and this is painted up for Peasy and Sons from near Bakewell, home of course of the tarts. And sometimes we say Bakewell tarts aren't what they were. I really prefer them sort of with the icing on top and the cherry, but in the absence of any cake, we'll settle for this. And this is actually quite delightful, isn't it, really? I suppose when I grew up in the 50s, a lot of wagons looked like this, and in those days they were buying a lot of ex-army wagons, not in this case of course, but it's really great as they've started to sand down and get the old layers of paint off. They'd found the lettering for Cropper's Garage, Aintree in Liverpool, and that links in nicely, I suppose, with the presence of the North West Vehicle Restoration Trust here today, providing the free bus service between the Transport Festival and down in the town at the Victorian Extravaganza. Well, at a slightly sort of different stage of restoration, probably about as far as you could get really, and we're back up in the Peak District again. Whether it actually worked there, probably did, and very, very nicely restored. Listening in the sun, unfortunately sort of a bit buried in shadows at the moment, but nice or what. I think for a lot of people, you know, what's old, what's classic, what's vintage, veteran, or whatever you will, depends about somebody's perspective really. And as I said before, talking about the event in Manchester with the buses, you know, it's hard to believe when you're on a bus that's getting on for 100 years old, still taking a whole bus load. You know, they make cars these days that are designed to last about 3 or 4 years, as long as a sort of contract hire lasts. And we're going to move down to the Albion. It takes us back to a slightly earlier era, and the vehicles that I would have considered to be veterans, they're the ones, of course, when I grew up, so I suppose that makes me a veteran. Yeah, so the walkers in front have sort of started now. They're out with the kids and the trailers and the food and the stuff and the nappies for change and all the things that they do have. And the worst, of course, is when they bend down and they've got those awful things on which seem to expose the whole body, and usually means the body isn't worth exposing much anyway. Mine wouldn't be. So gorgeous to see the Albion from all those years back, and really the sort of counterpart of the Bedford TK. There were a lot of Fords about. When I was over in Cyprus the other year, there was, I think, at least 2 of these working on the potato fields. We have a slight sort of change of rareness, etc., on the next few, as we go back revelling into the past. Now the main way around the problem with the people is to sort of do the main thoroughfares as early as you can, and then get into the highways and byways of the lineups as quick as you can. I think we've got a classic year here though, marvellous machines, numbers are still well up, the event goes from strength to strength, it's been going for all those years, and it's been handed down somewhat in the family, and they should really be proud of what they've done over the years. And I think it sort of retains something of the prestige of, see you next year at Show Bus for the bus fraternity, and will you be at Llandudno seems to be the same these days. Oh, probably about just over a third of the way along this particular row, and if you're getting too excited, press pause and have a cup of tea and a biscuit. Oh, go on then, have a bit of cake as well, I don't mind. And of course, if you're watching in the evening, well, you might be having a bit of a tipple. Good luck to you, I say. One thing I do hope is that for some of the youngsters about today, that will give them a little bit of a taste for old vehicles, for restoration, and they'll end up having that interest themselves, even if every car is electric and perhaps all the lorries will be hydrogen powered. I even heard of suggestions for the motorways having trolley wires overhead on them for all the wagons. Quite feasible. The trolleys are used particularly in the mining industry, particularly in Africa. I suppose we could talk about sort of niche collections within collections, and American rigs are something of a niche collection, and also in the same sort of vein are the fire engines, although they tend to be more British. And just a quick survey of all the folk strolling around, heading our way. So Dennis dipped in and out of various markets over the year, so they have made most types of transport, perhaps more famous for ambulances, fire engines, and utility vehicles such as the bin wagons and street gully cleaners, that type of thing. Here we see a Pilkington's fire engine for their works at St Helens, and we're sort of onto the London's burning sort of territory here.
What was it in? What was it in? Bedford, TK. Bedford? KM Bedford, wasn't it?
Done it again! You need to go back.
And the sun's out again, a welcome sight.
Once it turned over, his foot was the headlamp. Fucking knocking and banging like that. Knocking and banging, little girl. Peover was whistling now.
Well, hello, it's your old mate Dave, back with you at the end of our visit to the 2024 Llandudno Transport Festivals in Llandudno, and that's in North Wales for those that don't know it. And so I'm wobbling about here because the ground's not very stable. It's not that I've had a tipsy or anything, no, I've not been doing that. Anyway, it's been a pleasure having you along with us. We've met up with lots of friends here, particularly from the Northwest Vintage Restoration Trust, and our fleet of vehicles that we brought along to support the festival. and of course for all you joining us and everybody else that we had a little chat with along the way today. Meanwhile, back at home, Mandy and our friend Sue are cooking away, getting us a lovely Sunday dinner, and looking forward to that. I might have to pop by the shop though and get an ice cream just to put me on to getting home. And so, from Mandy and Sue, God bless, and we'll see you all again soon, we hope. Bye bye everybody, bye bye.